So I'm Deb, and I've lived in Littleton for 16 years.
I want to know, when did you decide that it was time to remodel your kitchen?
10 years before we actually did it. We had a lot of things for the home for the exterior that we needed to do. So I think the things that were more emergent got ahead of the kitchen, and while our kitchen was dated, it was functioning just fine for as long as we needed it to. And then we got to the point where we got to do the kitchen. Like, it was almost like, yay, we've done everything else. Let's do the kitchen now.
So it felt like a treat.
Totally. Like, we had done all the hard work of the exterior stuff, the stuff that you don't love every day, the roof, the windows, siding, things like that. And now it was like, okay, rewarding ourselves for all of that. And it's like the icing on top, just so perfect.
Any regrets about your kitchen?
I mean, I think the only regret that we can honestly say is that we wished we were going to be able to do it sooner, but we just didn't. So I think waiting was our only regret. But with that said, the fact that we waited, we actually got these cabinets that were never available before we decided to do our kitchen. So I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Didn't I tell you when you came in, I said, Deb, I think the color was created, the one for your kitchen.
Yeah. And I always thought that I would have green in the kitchen. I obviously never thought that I would have this green or it would be all the cabinets. But I mean, people come in and they're just like in awe of the cabinet, of the stain, of the design. The color is just, it's different every part of every day, which I love. Sometimes it's more green, sometimes it's a little more gray, sometimes you see the wood grain more, sometimes you don't. Like, it's just morning, noon, and night, it can look totally different, which I love.
Nice. So another thing, why did you decide to work with Wayside Kitchens besides knowing us for a while?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I've known you a long time. I know a lot of homes that you've done, whether it's mudroom, bathroom, kitchen. So I've seen your work. I knew your work, but also I knew you personally. And I just really couldn't think of working with anyone other than you and Jim. To me, that was like a match made in heaven for us. I think you and Jim are a lot like Gary and I, and so we just really worked very well together. I also knew that you were going to give us as much creative voice as we wanted, but willing to make sure that we were staying traditional and timeless rather than go crazy with trendy stuff. So we knew that if we worked with you, that is the kind of kitchen we would end up with.
So what was your experience in working with Jim and getting Jim Regan to do your install?
I know. I feel like I hit the jackpot. And I mean, I'm not even sure Jim's going to do any more kitchens after mine, but I loved having him here. His attention to detail is insane. Like, people come over who have had their kitchens done, and I show them the trim and the turnaround and the detail with, trimming out over the stove. And I'm just like, you get what you pay for, but I also got his experience and his care. He cared about our kitchen. He cared about every piece of the kitchen and actually the whole first floor, working with all of the different contractors. He was like the guy who represented me when I wasn't here. He took care of things the way I would have if I was here. And I loved having him here every morning, and we would talk about coffee and we would have a little breakfast. And then when it was time for him to wrap up, I actually told him to hold off because I really was going to be sad. I'm still sad. I come home and his truck isn't in my driveway. But it was lovely. It was the best experience ever of having someone in your home for a couple of weeks or a few months.
Someone who cares too. Like, that's one of the things, that he takes care of the home as if it's his own.
I also think that the contractors that you bring to the table, the team that you select for each of the homes, and I know that there's some variation depending upon scheduling and things, but from the start, I felt super confident in every single one of their skill, their experience, their relationship with you. So that's another piece that I think is super valuable of working with someone like you, who brings a team together, who pays attention to who's local, right? Giving back to the community by hiring these contractors. And since our remodel, I've referred the electrician, the floor company, the plumber, the painter, like every single piece of our renovation, I can proudly say was above and beyond what we expected. I mean, the turnaround on the fireplace when they redid the floors and how they framed in our fireplace, I didn't know that was even a thing. I didn't know it was going to happen, and it's amazing. It's like just a detail that makes such a big difference. So like I just appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that I now have relationships with these contractors should I need anything, and we've needed Mark, our plumber, a couple of times, but it's nice to know that it's not just one and done. These folks that are coming in your home, you build relationships with, and I feel really confident referring them, which is great.
Nice. So tell me on the trade day, when I came in with everyone, was it overwhelming, or did you feel comfortable to meet everyone?
So funny that you ask, because I remember posting on social media that morning that all of the team is coming to check out my home, to do the bids and all of that. And I said, I'm gonna record it. I told my followers on social media, I'm gonna put my phone up and I'm gonna record it. And one by one, the crew came in, right? And I met each of them. And I think what's interesting is they know what they're doing. So I really didn't have to be very involved. You had the floor plan. You were able to say, we're gonna need this, we need lighting here, we're gonna put the island here, we're gonna add a banquette here, you're gonna need heat there. So from a like energy level, I didn't have to worry about that. I just really sat back and watched. However, I was very drained when they all left, not because they took a lot of my energy, but because it was emotional. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And
it's getting real.
These people are going to be in my home. So there were some things that I had to deal with that, I was overwhelmed just because I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And I didn't know, I need to know the dates. I need to know the things. And we weren't there yet. And so you didn't have those answers, and no one did, because we weren't there yet. So that was part of the process that I just needed to sit back. And I'm a control freak, so I had to sit back and watch you do your magic with the contractors. And my advice to anyone who's going through it is trust each of them. They are pros. And if something needs to be moved, I guarantee they've done it 50 times before, and they're going to do yours as good, if not better, than the 50 times they've already done it. So I think that was a big piece, was trusting their experience, from Mary's design and coordinating the team to Jim installing the cabinets and keeping me company for a couple of months. And then all of the contractors, when they came in, all of them, and whoever worked with them, were just so talented. It's just crazy to me that all of that happens so naturally and organically for them working together, which is just great.
Awesome. So Deb, tell me about the process. I know that it's so many steps and it can get overwhelming. How do you feel we handle the process?
From
start to finish.
Yeah, so I knew that we were working with you. I remember pulling into your shop on a Wednesday, and you were walking out, and I was like, we're ready. And you were like, what? Oh my God, we've been talking about this for years. I've called you with questions about appliances before, and I couldn't believe that I got to actually say to you, we're ready. So from that point on, it was all systems go. We met with you. We talked about budget. We talked about timeline. That was all simple because you just explained how it all went. Once we made a decision about design, well, actually, what was nice was our floor plan was actually very user-friendly. We loved our floor plan. We didn't have to make much changes except updating. And we did move some things. We moved our oven to a different wall. Our island is significantly larger because we knew that that's where we spend a lot of time. We didn't have a banquette or a designated real dining area, so now we do. Once we decided on the options, and I love that you gave us options. You gave us two very good options, and it was kind of one or two, Deb, one or two. And I don't think it took us more than an hour. I think you said that you've never gotten someone to say to you the decision within the same 24 hours. And it was 4 hours later. We left, we looked at each other. We knew right away which floor plan it was going to be and the elements of it. So after that got the fun part, picking out the cabinets, but not just the cabinet style, but, the colors or the stain. And Gary and I were on board from the first moment. I think that's very helpful too. We know each other's strengths. Like there were some things that he wanted to be involved in decision-wise, and there were other things he didn't care. He totally trusted me. Like lighting, I got to do that. The stone, that was amazing too. We did that together. And so once we decided the floor plan, then we met the team, and the design was decided, and then we met the team, and then we started. I mean, we put our deposit down for the cabinets, which we knew because Mary told us that's first step, so she can order the cabinets. At the same time, we had to pick out our appliances so that Mary's measurements were perfect, and they are. And now I understand why you need to decide on your appliances early, like before things start. I didn't understand why, but now I know why. From our beverage fridge to our dishwasher to our stove, even the sink, things that I never understood were necessary to decide ahead of time. But we did, and I was really thrilled about what I picked out. And so then from there we did the design, and I think the first thing that we really got to do was, after the cabinet decision, was go to the stone yard. Mm-hmm. And Mary met us at the stone yard. We only went once. We decided pretty quickly, even though we went in for all white stone, we were gonna get white counters, perimeter and island. And as you can see, that's not what happened. So we actually picked this quartzite first. We did the island first. That was just because we turned the corner in the stone yard, and Gary and I looked at each other and like kind of lost our breath for a second. We were like, oh, that's our stone. It's Tempest Blue, and Select Stone was like, yep, you can have it. And I just said, like, where are we gonna put this? And Mary's like, it's your island for sure. So we knew we weren't gonna put it on the perimeter and that it was gonna be the island. And so, this was really part of the inspiration. It's got blue, it's got green, it's got gold, it's got brown, it's got a little black. It has a ton of movement. And just fast forward to when this was installed, I got to pick what part of my slab that I wanted for the island, and they nailed it. Like, they gave me exactly the slab that I wanted, and the part of the slab. And then the perimeter, Mary recommended we do like a sister stone. So like kind of the yin and yang, because we do have all the same cabinets. So this is Swiss Alps, also quartzite, and my beautiful backsplash behind my stove is a piece of it, which I love. And then we picked out tile, and then we picked out, faucets and things. So I think like once we started, everything kind of lined up. And Mary uses a Google Calendar system that she shares with us. And so I knew when things were coming. And of course, there were some things that were fluid based on like my window hadn't come in yet, and we needed to prep for the window. But again, the contractors are pros. They know what they're doing. They knew to put in the header and give the space based on the floor plan. I could just sit back and watch, right? You kind of have to remember why you're paying them. You're paying them to do what they do best. And Deb needs to step back. But when it came to the calendar, like I knew when my deposits were due. I knew when the counters were being measured for. I knew when the cabinets were being delivered. I was actually at jury duty the day that they were delivered, and Mary came and not only welcomed the cabinets, but she recorded it for me and showed me like the corner, the lazy Susan that we call, who's not lazy. She's a powerful Susan. She's not lazy at all. And so I got to be a part of it, which was lovely. I mean, she knew that I was bummed that I was going to miss it, but jury duty called. So knowing what was coming and what to expect helped to ease some anxiety that I just would have had naturally. And also, Mary and Jim were available whenever I had a question. And they have probably heard the same questions 1,000 times from every homeowner, and they still answer your question like you're the first person asking. So I think that piece of trusting the contractors, trusting Mary and Jim, that they've been through this before with hundreds of homeowners, is a good insurance policy for your process.
I'm Mary Regan, kitchen designer at Wayside Kitchens. You can find me helping clients take their dated old kitchens and transform them into beautiful new kitchens that they love because they fit their homes and lifestyle much better. If you're ready to start your kitchen remodeling journey or just enjoy watching home transformations, you are at the right place. Come join me.